Hi class, in lesson 9.2 you will be solving one-step equations using adding and subtracting. Learning targets for today: use inverse operations to solve one-step equations and use models to represent one-step equations. Key terms to look for in lesson 9.2: one-step equation, solution, and inverse operations. Please turn to page 616, problem 1, maintaining balance. Each representation shows a balance. Please answer number 1, letters A and B with your group members. For number 1, letter A, in order to balance one rectangle, you can subtract 4 squares from both sides. And for letter B, 8 squares will balance one rectangle. Please turn to page 617, answer number 2, letters A and B with your group members. For number 2, letter A, in order to balance one rectangle, you can subtract 3 squares from both sides. And for letter B, 5 squares will balance one rectangle. Please answer number 3 and number 4, letters A and B with your group members. For number 3, whatever you do to one side of the balance, you must do to the other side in order to maintain balance. And for number 4, for letter A, you must subtract the same quantity from the other side. And for letter B, you must add the same quantity to the other side. Please turn to page 618, problem 2, one step at a time. Read the directions for number 1 and answer letters A and B with your group members. For number 1, letter A, my equation is going to be 12 is equal to x plus 4. I know that I can subtract 4 from both sides in order to determine the value of x. 12 minus 4 is going to equal 8. So x is equal to 8. For letter B, my equation is x plus 3 is equal to 8. I know that I can subtract 3 from both sides in order to determine the value of x. 8 minus 3 is 5, so x is equal to 5. Please turn to page 619. You just wrote and solved the one-step equations. Previously, you wrote an equation by setting two expressions equal to each other. You solve an equation by determining what value will replace the variable to make the equation true. If you can solve an equation using only one operation, this equation is called a one-step equation. To determine if your value is correct, substitute the value for the variable in the original equation. If the equation is true or remains balanced, then you correctly solve the equation. Please answer number 2 with your group members. If you look at number 2, letter A, here's how you can check to see if your solution is correct. We look at the value of x. X is equal to 8. We substitute 8 in for x. 8 plus 4 is 12. 12 is equal to 12, so your solution is correct. For number 2, letter B, x is equal to 5. If we substitute 5 in for x, 5 plus 3 is equal to 8. 8 is equal to 8, so your solution is correct. You just determined solutions to your equations. A solution to an equation is any value for a variable that makes the equation true. Please answer number 3 with your group members. For number 1, letter A, in the original equation, 4 is added to x. In order to determine the value of x, you are subtracting 4 from both sides. The operations adding and subtracting are opposite of each other. For number 1, letter B, in the original equation, 3 is added to x. In order to determine the value of x, you are going to subtract 3 from both sides. The operations adding and subtracting are opposites of each other. To solve an equation, you must isolate the variable by performing inverse operations. To isolate the variable means to get the variable by itself on one side of the equation. Inverse operations are pairs of operations that undo each other. Please answer number 4, letter A and B with your group members. For letter A, the inverse operation for addition is subtraction, and for letter B, the inverse operation for subtraction is addition. Please turn to page 621. Answer number 2, letters A through D with your group members. For number 2, letter A, the inverse operation needed is subtraction. You are going to subtract 7 from both sides. When you solve the equation, m is equal to 4. And finally, when you check your equation and substitute the value of 4 in for m, 4 plus 7 is equal to 11. 11 is equal to 11, so your solution is correct. For letter B, you are going to add 8 to both sides, so your inverse operation is addition. When you solve the equation, x is equal to 13. When you check your work, 13 minus 8 is equal to 5. 5 is equal to 5, so your solution is correct. For letter C, your inverse operation is subtraction. You are subtracting 5 and 67/100ths from both sides. Your solution is 7 and 22/100ths. When you check your work, 12 and 89/100ths is equal to 12 and 89/100ths, so your solution is correct. Finally, for letter D, your inverse operation is addition. You're adding 4.5 to both sides. X is equal to 10 and 1/4. When you check your work, 5 and 3/4 is equal to 5 and 3/4, so your solution is correct. This will conclude lesson 9.2 on solving one-step equations using adding and subtracting. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.